This is a Huddle Sports Network broadcast. You can find us on Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, Facebook, and of course YouTube. Get all your NFL news here first.
He has time.
He's got him. Side touch is there. Leaping grab. Touchdown. Touchdown.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Ken and Ken in the Morning. It's day 3. Oh, wait a minute. Forget that day 3 of the tampering period because at 4 p.m. Eastern, the new league year begins. Woo-hoo! Wait, I hear it in the background. Where are they at? Yep, that's right. The new league year begins. Everyone has an equal record. Unless you're the Green Bay Packers, who are 0-2 in 2025, and the Chicago Bears are 1-0. Just kidding, Ken. Just kidding. You know I got to take my shots when I can. Good morning, Nicholas.
Yeah, I know you rarely get to be able to take them, so hey, I guess we'll give them to you once every 5.5 years.
I mean, look at it. It's been a while since I've been able to. We used to be able to do it every year, but yeah. What's up, Moonstar and football fans? Like you got it right. And good morning, Brent. And good morning to those watching on X this morning. Feel free to comment, and we like to see you. I'm going to call a trade between the Bengals and Packers. Oh, geez. Oh, geez. Look, they're. First off, I mean, not that you don't have anything to offer the Bengals, you do. But first off, which Bengal do you think you're going to get?
T. Higgins.
Okay, so you're going that way. Okay.
Yep.
Not happening. And here's why. Here's why I think Higgins won't get traded. His counterpart in the wide receiving room and his quarterback both want him there. If those two want you to in that locker room, guess what? You're in the locker room. And Steve says, shut up, Ken, the bearded Packer fan. You're wrong. I want Hendrickson. Now, look at that one's a little more interesting. I think you could swing that. Look at you're gonna have to give up your first round this year, probably, because it's a low end first round. So Ken's like, yeah, whatever, no big deal. You're gonna have to give up something better than Jair Alexander. Because they're not going to want Jair. I know every Packers fan is trade for Henderson. Well, we'll throw Jair in. Okay, Jair at this point becomes a throw-in at the end of the deal, just like a parting gift. No, he's not going to be the apex. If it was 2 years ago, yes. But given the current situation, no. So what are you going to give up to get Henderson? And don't say Jair Alexander in the first-round pick. That's not going to cut it.
I wouldn't want to do it even at that.
I mean, but you know what I'm saying, though? Like, Hendrickson is worth the first-round pick and something else or something substantial, but Alexander is not going to cut it, especially with the money situation that he has attached to him going to Cincinnati, who's already trying to figure out their situation so they can pay T. Higgins. And Burrow.
Yeah, I'm not paying a first-round pick for Hendrickson there. Like, he's a great player and all, but he's a little bit old in the tooth, or long in the tooth is what I meant to say.
Number one pass rusher in the NFL last year. Come on, man. The sack leader.
Last year.
Well, I'm sorry. We haven't played games yet this year to judge him on.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, Brosky Bear. Hey, question for you, my friend, because I know you were just watching yesterday. So I think it's interesting that, Shelton did get signed. So two former Bears have been signed. Borum went to the Dolphins. and he'll probably do fine there. I mean, he was a good rotational guy. Like I said, like I said in the past, Borum was that guy. He was good for a series or two. You just didn't want him in there for the whole game, right? But then Shelton went back to his old stomping ground, the Rams. Minus that, none of these other free agent Bears have been signed, and the Bears have been very quiet. Like, they didn't do anything. So, what do you think is next for the Bears? Do you think we're going to maybe look at some of our, like Pryor, and maybe sign Pryor, or what? I mean, and the thing is, too, it's so hard to tell how much money we've actually spent.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know. If I did the raw numbers, we spent for the cap this year, we spent 50 or 70 mil, but I know that's not the case because the way they do the contract. What do you think is up next?
So I've seen a lot of figures, and it seems like the Bears are roughly in the red, like $10 million now. So what I'm thinking, what's next is obviously they're going to ink all the guys they agreed with in the tampering period. And then they're going to restructure deals of current players on the team to try to free up some more cap space, and then possibly extend like a Kyler Gordon. So I think that's kind of what they're going to focus on next. Then they'll kind of regroup, see where they're at.
I mean, if you do just the raw numbers based on what the tampering is, they're in the red 10 mil. But it's not a dollar spent as a dollar against the cap, right? Because of the weird way that these guys, the wording they use and how the money is paid, this, that, and the other. So
That's a rough guesstimate, until we actually see the actual contract details. We don't know.
Yeah, I think they're probably under. If you look at some of these other teams, like NOLA was signing people. I mean, how did they have the money to give Young the contract when they were already in the red? So it's going to be interesting to see today, actually, or this evening. Tomorrow, I guess, when the contract all become official, what real cap numbers are like. And I'm surprised that guys like Bosa went last night. That was big news, right? Bosa is going to replace Von Miller basically in Buffalo on that deal. So I mean, there's still some guys getting signed, but I'm surprised Keenan Allen is still out there. D Hop went. He's reunited. D Hop is reunited in Baltimore with King Henry.
Bosa went to Buffalo. I think that's funny. They lose one old decrepit edge rusher.
And get a new one. And then D Hop goes to Baltimore to reunite with Henry. I mean, those guys are still going to be getting signed today, tomorrow. I mean, every day now we'll probably get one here, one there. What's up, Ken?
The funny thing is about that D Hop one. D Hop, Derrick Henry, and Lamar Jackson took a picture together in 2020. And I'm pretty sure it was D Hop that said something about that, we'd put up great numbers together or something to that effect. And for it to come to fruition now, it is quite hilarious. Now, granted, D Hop kind of fell off a bit since then.
Yeah. But there's the funny thing, because D Hop has fallen off, but Keenan Allen has not. Right? I mean, Keenan Allen had a great year last year. Especially given all the problems in Chicago with keeping Caleb upright so he can deliver the ball, he still had a good year. If you look at him, he actually still had a good year. And I'm surprised, he's not off the board yet by anyone. And granted, he said, well, I'm going to go to either LA, or Chicago, or that's it. But then again, you got Cooper Kupp is probably become a free agent at 4 p.m. this afternoon if there's in a trade for him. Right, because the Rams said they're just going to cut him if they can't get a trade. I mean, first off, I think that's kind of a crappy way to deal with Cooper Kupp, who's really freaking good. But I mean, Ian's still out there, but yet D Hop gets signed. It's like, okay, that was. I mean, I'm happy in a way because that means the Bears can still possibly sign him and keep that trio, and it would be good. Cool to see because last year he had a good year with the shitty offensive line. Now the Bears appear to have addressed that offensive line. It'd be nice to see what Keenan Allen could do with when Caleb actually.
I'm right here for right now. I wish I knew who was this fucking asshole.
Damn, Joe, tell us how you really feel.
Play by play this morning.
That's an added.
I'm tired of these assholes, man.
Stephon Diggs is still available. Yeah, there's some good. Look at, there's still some good receivers out there. Amari Cooper is still available.
Ken, you're cutting out again.
It's still doing that.
Yeah, your audio is not working, Ken.
That.
Maybe that did something. Say something.
Yeah, just beat the heck out of the mic itself. It's more
There you
distracting. So, I guess I have to beat up the mic every day. Geez. There are some good wide receivers. Maybe the Bears get a hometown discount on Keenan. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Bears are definitely, like I said, they're going to be a little more administrative right now. They're going to sign the guys, work out all the details with all these players they signed. And then, like I said, they're going to look to probably restructure some of their current contracts, extend a player, possibly two. And then, honestly, they're probably going to evaluate where they are, and they'll probably cut a couple more guys, honestly. So we'll see how much money they can free up. But, keep in mind, they do need, what do you want to say, 15 mil just to sign rookies as well. So
it's about 10 to 15 mil depending.
Yeah, roughly. Yeah. 15 to 20 mil somewhere now.
And there are a couple, they could restructure Tremaine. They could, do a restructure extension, on a couple guys, like Tremaine Edmonds, who's the big this year. And I don't think any of us complain about extending him. There are a couple other guys they could do a little bit of that with.
Is Joe doing some Jedi training right now? Is he standing on his head?
Yeah.
What's he doing?
He's not cursing people out. He's doing Jedi training. Hey, the Raiders got a former Packer yesterday.
Yeah, I saw that. But I'm privy to the fact that they've been complaining about him. I've heard Ken and everybody else complain about Stokes for 2 years now, so I'm not terribly excited about that.
I wouldn't be either. But you know what? As a Packers fan, I'm excited that he's on a different team besides Green Bay.
DeMar Hamlin is staying put there in Buffalo. That's always a good story.
Yeah, he's probably going to be a career Bill. I mean, how do you get rid of the guy that died on the field? You know what I mean?
Oh, come on. Remember, it's not the guy that died on the field. That's the clone of DeMar Hamlin.
Damn. So you're saying they cloned him in the ambulance?
You don't remember all that shit going on? Oh, my God. They were trying to say that he was a clone because after he was back and in the box, you really couldn't see his face. I
remember that part of it.
Okay.
So a couple other quick news points that just popped up. This is from Rob Zavensky, a beat writer for the Packers. Today could be the day for Jair Alexander news. The Packers haven't released him yet because A, they're still holding out hope they can get something in return in a trade, and B, if they want to designate him a post-June 1st cut for cap purposes, they have to wait till 3 p.m. today. That's probably also when you're going to see Aaron Rodgers dump back there. And then here's some guys who are still available: Stephon Diggs, Keenan Allen, Amari Cooper, Brandon Cook, Tyler Lockett, Russell Wilson. Of course, they're going to wait. He'll probably have to wait and see where Aaron Rodgers goes. Jameis Winston, Von Miller, Judon is still out there. You remember a lot of people wanted Judon last year in Chicago. DeMarcus Forrest, Zadarius Smith, Evan Engram, Cam Robinson, Tyron Smith, Kendall Fuller, Stephon Gilmore, Justin Simmons. I mean, there's some good players that are still out there today saying, please sign me. I need work.
I wonder how much tread Gilmore has left on the tires.
Well, I think some of these guys, when they get closer, there's one thing with the players being, I think, more savvy of the business is they realize at the end that they're not going to get they're not getting the bag anymore. Now they're going to get the half or quarterback, and some are willing. They're more than willing to do it. I guess with the right team where they're not expected to be what they used to be, but just to contribute. And a lot of these guys on that list can still contribute. But are they going to contribute at $20 million a year? Probably not.
Yeah. No, but I'm just wondering, like, what was Gilmore's stats like last year?
Well,
Because I would be interested in getting Gilmore for the Raiders for like a veteran corner that can teach our young guys.
I was going to say, wasn't he injured for part of the year for the Vikings, or was it just that he kind of disappeared? Because I remember there being a couple of weeks where I didn't hear much of shit about him.
Well, let me pull up. All right, so last year, his season grade last year was a 63.9. I know how much Broski hates this, but it's a good data dump. His pass rush was 58.8. He basically ranked 223 cornerbacks qualified for grading on PFF. His run defense grade was a 77.6. Coverage was a 60.4. 48 shoulder tackles, 1 pick, 55 receptions allowed, which ranked him at 13th in the league. Let me see, how many snaps did he have last year? Total snaps, 860, so he played a lot.
Okay.
He played a lot. Passer rating allowed last year for him was a 99.4.
Oof.
Yards per reception, 9.8. So, I mean, not terrible, not great. 34 stops, 1 forced fumble, missed 7 tackles. Pass defenses, he had 8. So not terrible.
Yeah.
34 years old, though, it's like, well, look at, like, he's still a guy that you could throw on your roster. He's not going to get, the big money, but, what, $8 million? And he can contribute.
Where did James Bradbury sign?
What now? Bradbury?
Bradbury. Where did James Bradbury sign?
God, I have to dig through all these. I'm not sure.
Because I remember he was like one of the top corners that was in this free agent class.
That's what I'm looking up right now.
Because if he's still not signed, I would rather sign Bradbury.
Yeah, it looks like he's not signed yet. The only thing I'm seeing is about him being released.
Yeah, so we got a couple guys who are post June 1st designees, but they cannot be released until today, right? So that might be why we're not hearing some news on some of these guys. That'd be good for them if they. It doesn't matter about the play; they'll figure it out. That'd be interesting for Detroit if Cup went there.
Yeah. Yo.
Damn.
So that could be an interesting move. Now, look at Detroit really hasn't done much. I mean, if you think about it, they've been kind of quiet.
I was going to say they brought in DJ Reed there.
Yeah, but they lost. They lost more than they brought in. Okay, they brought in DJ Reed. It's a little better than Tic Tac, but that's why I said they've been kind of quiet. Not that they've been quiet and haven't done anything. They've been kind of quiet. They lost some guys, yeah, but they brought a guy in. Okay, does it mitigate it? Yeah, probably. But did they get like immensely better to like drastically improve their secondary? Now they bring in one that helps, and they lost 2 that hurt. So now that would be a big move for them though to bring in to bring in Cup. I mean, that would be big news. That pushes J-Mo to wide receiver 3. And like J-Mo saved his career last year in Detroit. Of course, the double reverse end around whatever run play, is kind of what did it for him because he didn't do it receiving. He had some nice catches, but
I was gonna say he had a decent year receiving.
But it was nothing like, ooh, we got to keep this guy and pay him, throw the bag at him. But he saved his career, and rightfully so. But I think that would be a huge addition to the Lions if Cup went there. That would probably elevate their offense a little bit. That would definitely no Cup and Raw would switch back to for them. J-Mo stays outside. I mean that would be something to get excited for if you're a Detroit Lions fan. I think Lions fans would be happy with that. What about them going to Green Bay? I mean, they got They got look at Green Bay has been.
Cup.
Yeah, they haven't spent the money.
I'd be okay with Cup as a consolation prize. He might not have been one of the wide receivers that I really wanted, but I'd still be happy with it.
So the Cup sweepstakes. I mean, look at it. Baltimore comes to mind. The Steelers come to mind. Seattle comes to mind if you want to stay on the West Coast. I mean, there's a lot of places that are going to be looking at Cup, and it's going to be interesting to see where he goes. I don't know if he'd want to come to the North. I think he might want to stay warm weather, but you never know. You never.
I want to know what Sam Darnold's problem is. Like, that was the stupidest move he could have made for his career, dude. Like, if you think about it, because Seattle is getting rid of they just got rid of DK, right? I mean, I get they got rid of Geno, so they had a quarterback opening, but they have the worst offensive line, one of the worst offensive lines in football. They just got rid of DK. They're getting rid of Lockett. They have nobody to replace him. You had a chance to go to the Steelers where DK just went, and instead you chose the Seahawks for $30 million a year. And, like, does anybody here think the Seahawks are winning anything this year? Like, they're going to win 4 games if they're lucky, dude. Like,
he's got JSN there. That's all he needs.
Yeah, with the worst offensive line in football. Like, and then it's like they're apparently cleaning the cupboards on their defense too. So it's like they're in a complete rebuild. I just don't understand if you're Sam Darnold.
You're making the case though why they would bring Cup in.
I don't think they're going to spend the money to bring Cup in because it's obvious that they're tearing the whole thing down. But I just don't understand from Sam Darnold's perspective. Like, you just had this great year. You just revitalized your career. And actually we're looking like a quarterback that people could take serious. And now you're going to go lose 10 games a season for the next.
Oh, this is where you get to that point of we don't know what was said behind closed doors. But maybe when he talked to the Seahawks, look, if we sign you, you're guaranteed the starter. And maybe when we talked to the Steelers, well, you're not going to be guaranteed because we may still also sign Aaron or something like that. Who knows what was actually said that drove him the other way?
Oh, we've got a Woody.
Oh, I do. Oh, I do.
Good morning.
Good morning, Vietnam.
Yeah, no doubt.
Joe, are you too young for that movie?
No, I love Robin Williams, man.
Okay, good.
I don't think
you're
young for that movie.
I was going to say you're older than me.
Yeah, I'm not that young. I'm 42.
Oh my God, dude, you're a baby. Wow. I look 42, but I'm not. So, how's everybody?
Yeah, what do you think about that? What do you like? Do you think it was stupid for Sam Darnold to go to Seattle, considering that they're completely rebuilding? Because I do. I think it was dumb.
Where else could he have went besides? Don't even say the Giants. That he can be 100% starter right now.
That's what I'm saying. Wow, Nicholas, you're young, man. 34. Jeez.
Yeah, Nick, we're the same age.
There you go. Oh, there you go.
Jesus Christ, man.
I mean, I agree with you though, Woody. I think that when he was talking to Steelers, I don't think they were. I think and also the guaranteed money may have been differently, but I don't think that like Pittsburgh was going to say you're going to be the starter. I think they said we'll pay you, but we might also pay Aaron Rodgers, or we may bring back Russ, and you may have to compete. And he's like, no, I'll just go to Seattle where I'm guaranteed the money. And I mean, so who knows what was said behind the closed doors?
Well, here's a question for Joe. I mean, are you happy with the Geno Smith trade?
Oh yeah, I think Geno Smith. I think Geno Smith was the best free agent quarterback available. And people didn't even really know he was available. Like that was the thing.
Nobody knew that was going to happen. I don't care who you are. Nobody knew that was going to happen.
That's what I'm saying. Nobody really knew he was available, but once he was traded, he became the best free agent quarterback, or the best quarterback on the free agency market. I like the trade because it takes the pressure off of us to have to try to go up for Sanders or Ward. Like, it gives us a year or two to sit here and figure out what we want to do with the position. But in the meantime, we get competent quarterback play, which is something we didn't have last year. Like, even competent quarterback play is going to be acceptable at this point. Like, and Geno's better than competent. Like, he's not a world beater, but he's top 15.
So
He's
if Geno,
in the upper half of the league.
So if Geno Smith wasn't traded to the Raiders, would you accept Sam Darnold as a Raider?
I didn't really want Darnold just because, like, I watched Darnold play in college, and his problem has always been the same. He turns the ball over way too much. Like, he had a great season last year, but, like, I've seen too much tape on Sam Darnold. Like, I know he's eventually gonna revert back to the Sam Darnold we once knew. Like,
Joe, the same thing can be said about Geno Smith.
Well, Geno's been playing. The thing is, Geno has more good tape than Darnold does, though. Geno has 3 years of good tape right now, whereas
Geno was Sam Darnold, though, is what Ken is saying.
I get it. I'm not disagreeing with that, but Geno was able to put 3 years of good tape on the out there, and Darnold has 1 good year. So between the two, I would rather have Geno.
I guess Steve didn't hear my take. Bears, I'm telling you, they're going to take Warren at 10 if he's there. Watch.
Absolutely. Yep. I'm getting that feeling now.
And we'll be talking about that tonight on Hal's Hall Report. Rose, are you going to join us tonight at 7 p.m.?
Oh, that's right. We have a show tonight, don't we? I forgot about that. Fuck. Ken, you're
8 o'clock?
Yeah, 8 on the East, yeah.
I think I should be able to make it tonight.
You still got the link, yeah?
Yep.
Perfect.
But the Bears, we'll talk. Yeah, the Bears moves are.
We have a lot of Bears stuff to go over tonight on.
Might be a 2-hour show.
Yeah,
I'm not worried about the quarterback position for the Raiders. I'm worried about their defense because we just let all of our defensive free agents walk, and now we have to replace all those guys. Like, I didn't understand that.
You miss Bly Nichols, don't you?
I mean, I'm gonna miss Merrick. Like, I'm gonna miss Merrick. I thought Merrick was just starting to ascend, but I get it. Like, they don't want to pay him $51 million for 3 years. Like, that's a lot of money for a safety. So,
question: what was the biggest overpay you think so far in the Panthers?
The biggest tampering?
So the biggest overpay.
Man, it's hard to say. There was a lot of them. I think Spillane got overpaid. He got like 3 years. I think 3 years, like $40 million. New England overpaid a few people.
Wow, there's a couple. I think Daniel Jones got overpaid.
Well, they could have gave him $1 and he would have been overpaid. So,
I mean, I know Joe's going to kill me for saying this, but Max Crosby, is that a good contract or was that an overpay for him?
No, that was absolutely a good contract because look at the contract that Myles Garrett signed a few days later. It was much more. And now, like, the whole defensive end market is reset, and now Micah Parsons is coming up for a deal. By the time Micah Parsons signs his deal, you're going to look at that Max Crosby contract and say, "Man, he's cheap."
I'm going to go.
Like, the Raiders are smart with that one. I mean, it's a lot of money. It's like 90-something million guaranteed, but at the same time, like, if you look at where the market was headed, like, those guys are defensive ends now are going to be making $40 million a year. So
2 guys, I think that, and I'm gonna lop the Bears into this because I'm wondering if Deo is an overpay because some people when they signed him said, "Oh, the Bears signed Deck." The Bears paid him that money to be a starter, and his numbers don't necessarily support it right now. But maybe obviously they have their scouts and they see potential for him maybe to break through, and they're trying to pay him on what they believe he's going to be worth. And then Grady Jarrett, I don't know, he may have been an overpay.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy gets cut, and 10 minutes later we sign him, and $48 million, I think it was. I don't know if Jarrett, and he didn't have a spectacular season, but then when you put the pieces together, and this is the hard part with some of these overpays. Like, I think Deo and Jarrett could both be overpaid, but when you put them on that line, right, with Dexter, with Sweat, maybe the combination of the four, they pay out, where it justifies the money. And that's a hard thing with some of these, when we see guys that overpay. I mean, quarterbacks are the easiest ones because they control a lot of their own destiny, but with some of these other guys, it's hard. But I think the Bears may have overpaid on those two guys.
I think the Steelers overpaid on DK Metcalf.
Oh
Yeah.
my God, yeah. My God.
Because T. Higgins wants $30 million a year, and between DK and T. Higgins, I would rather have T. Higgins any day of the week.
Yeah,
And
Carlton
so-
paid $60 million. I mean, Najee.
Didn't he go to the Chargers or
Yeah, he
something?
went to the Chargers.
I thought so.
Chargers, yeah.
Yeah, there we go. And Orlando had you covered.
What does that do for Dobbins? Is that going to be a 1-2 punch?
I think they might be getting rid of Dobbins.
Wow.
Either Dobbins or Edwards, one of them is going to be gone.
The Bengals are kicking the tires on Tevin Jenkins.
Good, get him, please. But I agree with you, Joe. But with Darnold, 3-year, $100 million, would you have gave him that much after one good year? Only after one good year.
I would have gave him that much only because that's what the market dictates. Like, it's actually a cheap for a starting quarterback. It's a cheap contract, but I just don't want. I didn't want to give him a contract for 3 years based off of one good year of play. Like,
right.
Darnold was the one. Like, I would have rather went with Fields than Darnold because, like, at least there's upside there. I think Fields could be coached and who knows. Like,
Fields' contract, I think, was kind of appropriate. What do you get, $40 million for 2 years? That's actually,
yeah.
I mean, that was actually probably appropriate. There's a good quote I want to read from Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Got that?
St. Brown was reeling about the Bears, and this is his quote. I feel like the Bears have unlimited fucking money, he said on his podcast, This shit is crazy. They're just signing new shit for like 40, 50 million. Joe Thuney, boom. Jonah Jackson, bang. Drew Dahlman, bang. Deo Abiengo, another crazy amount of money. Grady Jarrett, bang. They're just breaking everybody off. They have unlimited money. What the fuck is this? Bennett's just making moves left and right. That's what St. Brown said in his podcast.
Well, first of all, he's pissed off that Ben Johnson left. Second of all, you know what that's telling me? He's fucking scared.
Yeah.
To be honest with you.
I mean, what a great take, though. But I mean, look at, and the thing I like about St. Brown, I mean, he's a cool dude. I mean, he's a Lion, so I have to hate him for that. But outside of that, like, he's pretty, he is who he is, right? He doesn't care. And I love that take by him because he's kind of saying what some Bears fans like, where the hell are we getting all this money to do it? And we know the restructures, and they had like 50-some million before, after the Thuney trade, and after the trades and that, they had money. But I get where he's coming from because he's just like, what the hell? The Bears have like just loaded up the Brinks trucks, sent the fleet out, and what a great quote from St. Brown. I mean, he's scared of what the Bears are doing. I mean, he's taking notice as he should. But I just thought that was a great quote.
I guess St. Brown didn't know that the Bears had the second cheapest offensive line last year, so they could put some more money into the offensive line. So, yeah, he's just scared, and he's still pissed off that Ben Johnson left, guaranteed.
But those contracts that they gave to those offensive linemen, like, how much is in your offensive line now?
They tripled it. They tripled what they spent last year.
So what are the numbers?
Like Thuney's like 40, 50 mil. I mean,
no, I'm talking about per season. Like, what are you spending on your starting offensive line per season?
Well, we don't know yet. We have to wait till the Dahlman contract gets done, and then we can see how much. But it's over. Last year we spent like what, 10 mil, and so right now we're probably at 30, 40, 50, 30, 40 mil, somewhere around there at least this season. So they tripled it at least.
We're coming for you, Ken.
They spent a lot of money on that offensive line, so it better work out, dude. Like,
well, that's like a not a misconception, but just something to keep in mind is like all these Bears moves. Some of them are just patch for this season. They're short-term, 1-year moves. There's a couple moves that are more long-term, but like Thuney and Jonah Jackson, both those guys, Tooney's contract's up after this season. He'll be 33, 34. Like, I don't think the Bears are probably going to re-sign him after that. And then Jonah Jackson, the Bears have an out in his contract after this season. It's like 0 dead cap. So, I mean, essentially those guys are 1 year players. Ballman obviously will be like a 2 or 3 year player based on his contract. That being said, the Bears, what they really need to do if they're smart, this is the year to like perfect year to bring in some rookies, and knowing that they have veterans who can come in and start for them or give them advice, whatever the case may be. Like, the Bears should still focus on the future of their O-line and draft a guard, a center in the draft.
Well, I think with center they're okay because Dahlman's young, but like with Tooney, I think he's a perfect opportunity. You want to talk about how they create cap space? I think they give him like a 2-year extension and restructure the deal, and then you give yourself an out after maybe year 2, right? So I think Tooney, so you probably say he's got at least 2 years left in the tank, if not more. So I'd maybe give him like a 3-year deal total, like a 2-year extension, where you restructure the money a little bit to free up cap this year. And like I think Tooney is a guy you could do that with, and still leave yourself an out. I don't think Broski's wrong, but I think with Tooney though, you could probably, I think you make the assumption he's got at least 2 years left in the tank. So you give him a 2-year extension, so that if you draft a rookie in the 3rd round or the 5th round, you give him 2 years behind Tooney to mature into a good NFL offensive lineman.
Yeah, that makes sense, and that's kind of like what I touched on earlier. I think the Bears are really going to get these contracts worked out and then restructure some deals as well, and then kind of see where they are and see how they can, they're going to make sure they have enough money. They're probably going to cut another player or two to sign their rookies, and maybe pick up like a low end, backup guy here or there. But that's...
So Broski, I'm gonna ask you. I know you're upset today that Coleman Shelton went to the Rams. How do you feel about that? I mean, we still have Braxton Jones, so give me your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, Coleman Shelton, I didn't want him on the Bears. Like the only way I could accept it is if the Bears were starting a rookie center and they signed Shelton, as a backup, which that would make sense. But I thought he was terrible. I mean, I've never seen a center get pancaked by defensive linemen more than him. And then, yeah,
Bryce, you didn't watch Andre James for the Raiders. Andre James was just as bad.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm happy he's gone. I hope I never see Tevin Jenkins' face on the Bears again. Braxton, I don't know what they're going to do at left tackle. I mean, that's a tough one because, like I said, it's not really a great draft for left tackles, and the Bears are pretty much out of money. They, have to swing a trade, and I don't know how likely, realistic that is.
But there's Banks, right? Banks is out there in the draft. Like, you could get Banks at 10.
Joe's been hearing my takes, right, about Kelvin Banks. That's Joe. You are the man.
Yeah, I mean, I would be thrilled with that pick, honestly.
I think for Braxton, this is obviously a make or break year for him. Contract.
Yep. Yeah, I have a feeling like what Ken was saying though before about it. Like, I really, not that I agree with it, but I have a feeling they're gonna let Braxton prove himself this year, knowing that they have Kieran kind of backing him up. Not that that's saying much. You know what I mean? So
he's the smartest guy on the team, though, Broski. He's the smartest guy on the team, though. He played at Yale.
Kieran's like a year or two away from maybe being matured enough to, as an NFL lineman, to take the role on bigger. But if they were to draft a left tackle at number 10, then that moves Braxton to a backup role. Braxton's been more than serviceable overall in his 3 years in Chicago. I mean, with Tooney next to him, I think he improved. I think so. There's a piece to that too. But yeah, with the draft, the Bears draft is wide open now because you could go, with the tight end, you can go with the running back, or you can still go.
Yeah, because I mean they have the temporary fixes in place for this season, possibly even longer at certain spots on the O line and D line. So I mean, I'm really getting the feeling that Like they have that nice number 10 overall. They have those 2 second-round picks almost back-to-back, 39 and 41. I think those are just going to be skilled position players on offense. And, they still have some, they have a third-round pick, a fifth and 2 sevens. Like they'll go pick up some extra O-linemen or something with those picks.
I would still definitely draft an edge, though, somewhere. Edge rusher.
I'm hoping second round. I really am, because there's some really good ones out there.
Because our other track record with Indianapolis is edge rushers. I won't say his name.
Yeah, but it's just the fact they signed that guy Deo. They give him some money, and then they also have Booker. Yeah, I mean, to me, they could use a much better ready to go pass rusher and defensive end than either one.
Everybody knows I love Penn State. Okay, but Warren, I think, and everybody's not going to agree with me, but I don't give a fuck. Warren, I think, is the most athletic guy in that draft. Absolutely, hands down.
I mean,
that guy is a beast. Kittle Jr.
I think he's a future All-Pro. Like, you know what I mean?
Kittle Jr.
I'll tell you what, like, if you're going like best available at 10, I think he's probably. I mean, we don't know how it's going to play out yet. Obviously, he's probably going to be it if he's there. Like, and Ben, I know, like, he wants that tight end. He wants to get a tight end. And as much as everyone loves Cole Kmet, Cole Kmet's not running routes like that. Cole Kmet's not lining up at wide receiver. Cole Kmet's not he's not bringing to the table what Tyler Warren can bring to the table. I mean, it's just
this is a great preview of what's going to go down on Hal's Hall tonight. But I think the Bears, not to stop the conversation on the Bears, it's a good conversation we could have this morning, but I think the Bears are also in that position where they can draft, like you said, best available at 10 now. It's not like, okay, a couple weeks ago, it was like, we have to draft one. Now the Bears are in a position, with the moves they've made, they can go best available, be it at tight end, be it at left tackle, be it at running back, be it at safety. I think at number 10, they can go best available looking towards the future. And with the back-to-back, like you said, almost back-to-backs in the second, they can be best available with certain needs in mind. Like, okay, that my first second-round pick, I really need an edge, right? Because I gave Deo this money, but I need an edge to develop. Because remember, the second-round guys, you're not expecting to be immediate impact guys, right? So you can really, like, go more towards the need. But I think with the first round, like, if you get the kid at the tight end out of Penn State, you could, okay, wide receiver 3, don't need him. Why? Because I can now run out of set with my 2 Notre Dame products and my Penn State, a 3 tight end set, where the third tight end is actually in the wide receivers in the slot, right? And they could do some crazy crap with 3 good tight ends on this team. So they're in that position. Or if you get a running back, they can do some crazy stuff with, I know we don't like Genty, but whoever it is we were to take. I mean, so there's some stuff they can do. They can play a little, which is a great. Yeah. We weren't in that position 2 weeks ago. Like, Ben can play a little bit, which is scary good for this offense.
Just like one more thought on that without turning this into a complete Bears draft show.
It should be.
I agree. I agree with that, though. Like, it gives the Bears some flexibility now, and I really just think it's going to be like skilled position players in the first 3 picks. Like, they're going to go tight end, running back, wide receiver. Because if you look at the roster, the only position the Bears literally have nobody at right now is a slot receiver. Like, they literally don't have one on their team.
Well, yeah, we do, but
so drafting a wide receiver somewhere in the first or second round for the Bears, let's not rule that out. And the Bears don't have much money left to spend.
I
don't know if they'll even be picking up a veteran wide receiver. So
I agree on the best availability, but I still, at that number 10 pick, I do not pick a running back.
I agree.
No way.
I mean, I think, like, if Genty's there, maybe they make a move to go back 12 if Dallas really, really wants them.
Dallas, I'd rather have Hampton.
And maybe, like, I don't know, to go from 10 to 12, I mean, you're just swapping, and what are you picking up? Maybe a third rounder? I don't think you're getting a second, but maybe a third rounder out of it.
10 to 12, you might just get a fourth, honestly.
Or even a fourth, which we don't have a fourth. So I could see the Bears maybe doing that, but I mean, depending on what's left on the board, I don't see the Bears moving forward for anything this year. They're not going to be one of those teams. However, I could see the Bears maybe move their later round picks. Like I think Foles wants to be done after the third round. Like you could take their fifth, sixth, and seventh round picks, right, and maybe try to trade back into the second or third round. I could see him wanting to be done, especially with some cap constraints. Like, why do I want to draft guys in the seventh? I don't need that many players. So maybe I do some packages and get me some more another second, or a second and a third, and get rid of these other ones this year. To a team that's looking for more capital, right? I could see him maybe even doing something like that to get, like, he's in that. The Bears are kind of weird. They're in that position where we don't need a ton of draft picks. Like we've got 4 in the top 73 or top 74. Let's add another pick in the 4th round or 5th round and get rid of some of these later round picks, like the 6th and 7th round picks, and add another 4th round pick or a 3rd round pick or even a 2nd round pick, or even go back into the first. Like, look, we'll give you. We'll go back into late first round, but we'll give you like, our 2 sixes and our 7th and our 5th for this year. We'll give you these 4 picks, and we'll give you a 6th rounder next year too. Why not? Just to get back in an early round. I could see him doing something along those lines.
Well, Genty has actually been mocked to the Raiders quite a bit. I think even Mel Kiper has been mocking him to the Raiders. So I don't know if you'll get that opportunity, because I think the Raiders are going to take advantage of that and try to fleece Dallas, trade down to 12, and let Dallas come up and get Genty. And then with the extra picks, they'll, I would, if it was me and I was the Raiders, I would trade down into the 20s, because one really good player isn't going to make as big of a difference as several pretty good players,
I was saying this the other day, is that with Genty, listen, Vrabel's in New England now, and he likes those running backs. So you never know. Genty might go to New England that first pick.
I wouldn't say it's impossible, but I think drafting a running back at 3 is a stupid move. Especially with Hampton still there. That's what I'm hoping, is that the Raiders trade down, and then somewhere in the late teens or 20s, take Amari and Hampton, pick up an extra 2nd round pick, and use that pick on Trevion Henderson, because we could set our running back room up for the next 5 to 7 years just with those 2 moves.
Well, isn't the draft is making stupid moves? Just think of us with Trubinsky. We never know.
Yeah, but
real quick, the Browns. I'm sorry. The Falcons just signed Mike Ford away from the Browns on a 2-year, $4 million deal, and the Bills just restructured defensive tackle Ed Oliver's contract, saved them $10 million in cap space. I have a feeling we're going to see a lot of stuff like this today, because, like I said, look at that, just a wide receiver: Diggs, Allen, Cooper, Brandon Cooks, Tyler Lockett, good receivers still out there. That teams are going to be looking to sign. I think today, when the league year starts this afternoon, and we start seeing contracts inked, and we start to see, how much money teams. Dude, there are a lot of teams that, if you want to look at the cap, got to be right up on it after after all the signing that happened. It's really. I don't know if we'll be able to know by tomorrow morning as the stuff updates, but definitely by Sunday's Hallis Hall.
Floyd got he's in Atlanta right now.
Already in Atlanta, though. But how much money do these teams have left? And when this dust settles, and I think that's going to play a big role too on where people want to be in the draft, because look at the number 1 pick is like $10 million you got to spend, right? And it goes down. So if you're the Bears, you might want to trade out of number 10 just because of the cap money. I think some of that with this year's, because this has been a pretty. Last year was a bang year, right? It started out with a big bang. It was a running back year, and then it really died. This year, I think more money was spent this year than last year for me. Like the Commanders spent a ton of money. The Bears
Dolphins just signed Westbrook Akini, wide receiver from Tennessee. Go ahead, Ken. Sorry, I feel like I'm Mel Kiper. Go ahead.
Yeah, I know. No, do it, man. Joe Woody.
I have a truck already.
What the fuck?
I'll tell you what, I think we need to discuss that Will Fry signing in Minnesota. What kind of truck you got, Joe?
I got an F-150.
Oh, there you go. See, I love Joe. Me
Well,
and Joe, we got it right here.
Yeah, I said that. I know yesterday you couldn't come on. I don't know. I hope you were listening, but look at Minnesota signed 2 linemen off of Indianapolis.
Yeah.
I mean, are they going to
Will
become the
Fries.
coaches there in Minnesota? I mean,
Will Fries has played only 1 year as a starter, complete season. They gave him a 5-year, $88 million deal,
And
$17.6 million a year.
And
For
Broski,
Will Fries?
I told Ken this too. The Bears were going to trade for him, but something happened there that I don't know the details for. But we were going after Will Fries as well.
Yeah, I'm glad that didn't happen. Like I said, he's Ryan Bates.
I mean, here's the one.
Like,
When we look at some of these moves, I guess there's one thing we all need to kind of keep in the back of our head. Because some of these moves we look at as fans and we go, why? But the one thing that we don't have that these GMs do have is a staff of about 100 people who do nothing but look at these players all day, and they're grading them, and they're in depth. I mean, these guys know everything about these guys, and sometimes they're seeing a lot of stuff that we don't necessarily see, right? So with some of these guys, you got to take a little bit of a leap of faith, going that if your scout team have seen something and your GMs have seen something via the scout team that says this guy's worth X or is going to be X or trending this way. Whereas we may not see it watching the games on Sunday. They're seeing it or they're hearing about it. I mean, Fries is interesting, and the fact that Minnesota took 2 guys off Indianapolis starting line, offensive line, just like, do you really think what you want to be the Colts? The Colts weren't that good last year.
If you think about it too, like I really thought that would be closer to what Dahlman was going to get, like a 5-year, $88 million deal, 17.6 a year. He only had a 3-year, $42 million deal. I mean, that to me would be more in line with what Fry should have gotten.
Well, the report though, Broski, came out on Dahlman was that he left money on the table to come to Chicago. He took other teams that offered him more money, and he took less money to come to Chicago.
Well, let's hope he pans out.
I mean, I think though that some of that though, like hearing a story like that, goes back to like we complained about Foles didn't get enough for Fields last year. Oh well, Foles this that, but players are like Foles takes care of players. He does right by players. And I think like the Dahlman signing is a little bit of a payoff of past things that maybe fans weren't the happiest about. But now look at most fans, like the overwhelming majority wanted him, and we got him. I think part of that is that good karma that Foles throws out there with players. You took care of DJ Moore, treated him right. You treat players right, players hear about it, they want to come to your organization. That and then Ben Johnson coming over, I think a lot of that played into getting Dahlman for cheap. And then there's some GMs they just know will give you the bag.
Well, let's just say that I was very glad to see the Vikings make that move. That's going to work.
Before this free agency period is over, I wouldn't mind seeing the Raiders try to pick up Stephon Diggs on like a 1-year, $9 or $10 million deal. Yeah. Like, because if they could pair him with Brock Bowers and Jacoby Myers, I think that would be pretty dope.
Well, look, you've got a couple guys out there. Keenan Allen probably won't work. But you can always bring a Mark Cooper back. You get Brandon Cook, Tyler Lockett. I mean, there's a couple wide receivers that
the Raiders have been talking about, or the people have been talking about Lockett going to the Raiders. But I would rather have Diggs because he's more of a number one, which is what we need. Somebody that can take some of the coverage off of Jacoby Myers and Brock Bowers because Bowers is going to be doubled all year this year. Like unless we have other weapons that can sort of take the focus off him. Like I think people realize now that Bowers is going to be a stud. So,
and then when Raiders pick Gentry at 6, you guys are going to be set on offense.
Oh, I don't want Gentry at 6, man. Like I said, I'd rather trade back and take Amari and Hampton. Yeah, I think Hampton's actually going to be better than Gentry.
Well, I think there's some teams that have been pretty quiet. Like the Packers have been relatively quiet. Lions have been relatively quiet.
Especially that last game of the season, they're quiet.
You know, Baltimore has been relatively quiet. I think some of these guys have been relatively quiet are going to make some moves after today when the money shakes out and they've got money and there's still some really good free agents. Like Green Bay, they don't have they're still looking for a quote unquote, we're looking for a wide receiver. Well, there's that list. I could see one of those guys, Tyler Lockett in Green Bay. I could see that happening, or even Brandon Cooks or Cooper,
Or Diggs.
or Diggs maybe. I mean, look at there's some of these teams that have been relatively quiet are going to get some good deals on some of these guys. They're still out there because there are a lot of really serviceable wide receivers that are going to help your team out there. And now that everyone's spent their load, so to speak, like the Bears, really, like who are they going to re-sign or who are they going to sign? I'd like to see them. Pryor hasn't signed. That's a good thing. I haven't seen him linked, so maybe they can get him for another $3 or $4 million, like they had him last year. And he's a good depth piece, which the Bears need depth still at offensive line. So I think that's what the Bears are doing, and maybe a receiver. But you got teams like the Lions and like the Packers who haven't spent a ton of money and still have a bunch left. So they go out and get 3 or 4 guys next.
I think Stephon Diggs to the Packers would make a lot of sense too, because with the problems that he's had, I think the Packers is one of the few places where he could actually shut up and play ball.
Ken's expression was hilarious.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Diggs. If he could somehow find a way for the first time in his career to shut his fucking mouth and play ball, I'd be okay with it. But I think the chances of that happening are low. We see how much of a head case this guy is.
But like I said, I think the Packers is one place where he could go where that could actually happen. The Packers don't put up with that shit. Number one.
I think the Packers are going to pick up Alex Pereira because he's pissed off after last week's loss. You know what I'm saying?
Arizona still got the money to spend. I mean, they made a big move early. They got the money. I mean, there's some other teams that we don't talk about often that might still. Arizona could make some moves. Seattle needs to do something.
I hope the Packers don't sign Cooper because I think that would be a nice signing for them.
That's what I'm kind of hoping to hear come up now.
Cooper's showing signs of decline, though.
Like he dropped a lot of balls last year.
He dropped a lot of balls last year, and he's got problems. Like now, it's starting to be harder for him to create separation. He's losing some of that speed. Like I don't know. I mean, Cooper, if you get him cheap, you could, it would be a good pickup.
Cooper, you want to go to a dome team or a team that doesn't play many games in cold weather. That's when he had his problem. If it's warm out, he's fine. If it gets cold now, he has a bigger case of the drop team. I think a couple of these guys, if they can stick to dome teams or teams that don't have too many games in their season outdoors late in the year, they're okay. But then come playoff time, it's going to be interesting. And this will be the final because we're about out of time before Ken yells at me.
You too, Nicholas.
Show this morning. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Ken, Broski, Joseph, and Woody, you guys are awesome. Thank you, Nicholas, for you. Shout out to the creative crew on X. Great having you all here today. Don't forget, tonight at 7 p.m. Central, 8 on the East, Broski, myself, Woody will be doing House Hall Report. Going over.
Oh, yeah.
We'll be back tomorrow morning for Ken and Ken, where Joe will hopefully have some good news because maybe the Raiders will get that wide receiver you want. Maybe Ken will get a wide receiver. Who knows? Maybe we're all broke. We'll find out tonight when the contract gets signed. Y'all have a great Wednesday. We'll see you tonight, and enjoy the day, guys. Bear down.
Bear down.
This is a Huddle Sports Network broadcast. You can find us on Roku TV, Amazon Fire Stick TV, Facebook, and YouTube. Get all your sports news here first. The daily podcasts are Ken and Ken in the Morning, Lions Talk with Smoking Jeremy B, Wrestling Roundup, The Big Football Show, and more, Shield TV, Lions Villain Report, and Dead Zone Rant. The afternoon podcasts are Valhalla, Grosef Sports, WCFL Dolphins Talk, The Cheap Seats, The Bodkin Show, Spirit of Detroit Podcast, and Maniacs. The nightly podcasts are Palace Hall Report, Frozen Tundra Network, Skull Gang 365, The Huddle Sports Network Open Mic, First and 10 with Foz, Main Event Football Show, Prime Sports World, The Man Cave, Prim and Proper Sports, Spitballing Podcast, Lions Fan Cave Chat, Puckett 313.